everybody. Welcome to the SyFy Sistas live show on a Tuesday night. What's up, y'all?
What's up?
I'm so excited to be here with you. I'm Sister Tamia, joined today by my sisters, Yvette Blackman-Tom.
Hello.
Sabrina Wood.
Whoop, whoop.
And Fran T.
What's happening?
What's happening, Fran? I was actually thinking about mixing up the order, and I was like, "Oh, that's really gonna mess them up."
Yeah, I was a little nervous. Yeah. She had me a little nervous at the beginning.
I saw that little second delay there.
You saw the glitch.
Yes,
it was like a glitch in the Matrix, wasn't it?
It's gonna be one of those nights.
So, Ore Silversmith proudly serves as the official sponsor of the live show. Explore Ore Silversmith for beautifully crafted jewelry, including, time to show off, y'all, the SyFy Sistas collection by clicking the link provided in the show description. All right, y'all. So we have a really fun show tonight for you guys, which is a little bit outside of our purview. Tonight, we're going to talk baseball and Black history.
Yes.
And we have this amazing woman with us who is just so wonderful. Her name is Shelly Flood, and she is the daughter of Major League Baseball great Curt Flood. She is a social service worker who works with youth ages 18 to 28 who are homeless, have substance abuse issues, and or mental health diagnoses. And for those of you who are not familiar with Curt Flood, I'm going to read you a little bit about this man, this incredible man, because Shelly is on a mission, and we're here to help her with this mission and to talk about this mission to get Curt in the Baseball Hall of Fame. So in case you don't know who Curtis Charles Flood Sr. was, he was an American professional baseball player and activist. He was a center fielder who played 15 seasons in Major League Baseball for the Cincinnati Redlegs, the St. Louis Cardinals, and my own Washington Senators. Far before I was born, though. Flood was a 3-time All-Star, a Gold Glove winner for 7 consecutive seasons, and he batted over 306 seasons. He led the National League in hits, 211 in 1964, and in singles in 1963, 1964, and 1968. He also led the National League in putouts as center fielder 4 times and in fielding percentage as center fielder 3 times. He retired with the 3rd most games in center field in 1,683 in National League history, y'all, trailing Willie Mays and Richie Ashburn.
Wow.
He has become, Curt Flood has become one of the pivotal figures in sports labor history when he refused to accept a trade following the 1969 season, ultimately appealing his case at the U.S. Supreme Court. And although his legal challenge was unsuccessful, he is the man. I mean, I've been reading this all from Wikipedia right now, y'all. I want y'all to know. But he is the man who brought about the solidarity amongst players as they fought against baseball's reserve clause and sought free agency. He is the man who is ultimately responsible for free agency as we know it, and for baseball players no longer being subject and almost some slave labor going on.
Thank you.
Curt Flood.
That was beautiful. I think I even learned something. Which isn't surprising because they keep updating the information, right? They keep adding to his significance by telling the truth. And you've added to my all-time favorite thing to talk about is my dad. So I'm so honored to be here with you, sisters. Thank you for having me.
Of course.
Oh, we're excited.
Yeah, it always comes back. I named this episode "The Niners Talk Baseball."
Okay.
Because as Star Trek Deep Space Nine fans, they have a baseball team called the Niners. And
look at there. I love it.
Baseball is really huge in Star Trek, so it just makes sense.
That's amazing.
Exactly.
Take me out to the house, sweet.
That's it.
Amazing.
So, Shelley, like you, I was just exhausted reading that, but I read a lot more about your dad. He was not only an incredible baseball player, but man, what a man of fortitude to be taking up and adopting these fights that he did at the time he did as a Black man. Where do you start talking to people about your dad? How do you start educating people about your dad, like in the beginning, you know?
I asked them if they're a Dodger fan. Let me stop. No, I guess it always comes to, are you a real baseball fan? And it doesn't matter what insignia is on their cap. I want to know, do you know the history? And more times than not, if I say who was the first free agent, they won't know. And I school them, you know, and I've said it so many times that it's my elevator run. You know, I can tell you my dad's history in 60 seconds and blow your mind. I talk about, I was on the bus today. I take public transportation here in Los Angeles, and a gentleman complimented me on my Kobe jersey, right? Okay, opened up sports, right? And then he wanted to compare Kobe and LeBron, right? And I said, they're equal. And he was like, what do you mean? I said, because both of them represented their athleticism and their franchises to the most. Kobe was loyal to the Lakers. And my boy LeBron used his free agency status to work wherever the hell he wanted to.
That's right.
And no one has a right to tell anyone where they have to work.
True.
Yes.
People didn't understand that. And the guys in the physical therapy office this morning, they were confused when I said that. And I said, you guys have to let go of that your players belong to you. Yes, they represent your cities. Yes, you love them, but they do not belong to you.
Right.
They are free agents to come and go as they please. Some players want to go to different places, make more money, get closer to their hometown, whatever the case may be. My dad said every player has the right to do that.
Can you tell people a little bit about when your dad took up this fight, what it was like for players, what it was like for him and other players at that time, and why he decided to take up this fight?
My dad was from California. And when he was drafted into the minors, he ended up in the South. Thomasville, North Carolina.
Oh, gosh.
Wow.
And they mistreated my father so badly, he incurred an indelible mark of racism that he had never experienced before. But we're Floods, you know. We're a wrath, if you will, right? So when he joined the Reds, it was Frank Robinson, Beta Pinson, and my dad, and they were all from Oakland. And then they traded him. My dad said, that's never going to happen to me again.
Okay.
Wow.
He was there for 12 years before it actually happened. In 1963, he said to the National Convention, the NAACP convention, where he had been invited by Jackie Robinson, he told the audience, if you're not going to know me in baseball, you're going to know me in this freedom fight. So he had already put it in his mindset that the establishment was his target.
Right.
And his sport would be his vehicle to get to his destination. And it played out. It harmed him. He was the sacrificial lamb, if you will.
Yeah.
Because my dad was never right with baseball again. Even though he tried to go back and play with the Washington Senators, it didn't take off. He had lost his stamina and his endurance had changed. People were still threatening him. And he'd gained some weight. He had been drinking. It was just a lot to come back to baseball.
Yeah.
And after 13 games, he knew it was over, and he left the game forever.
Wow. I think I was so impressed when I started reading, about what he went through in this fight for this, and how, I think what I kept thinking about the whole time is like, we put up with so much shit, I mean, it's just amazing that we are all not completely psycho or completely demoralized. I think it's a testament to our strength as a people, because your dad went through he sacrificed a lot for this fight. And, knowing that like it might not be something resolved in his lifetime.
Right. He said that though, Sister Tamia, he said that he knew it may not happen now. But if it happened and the players that followed him would receive this status, he was okay with that. And he moved forward. And what is less talked about is the family dynamic that was connected to his professionalism, that paid our bills, that kept us alive, sheltered, clothed. He didn't pay child support. And my mother was really angry about it. I don't talk about that very much, but amongst sisters, I believe I can trust that it's usually about the game and not so much about his private life.
Right.
I'm 63 years old, and I can just have these conversations. I can talk proudly about my father. I can have fans tell me his stats and what he did. But when I was growing up, there was no such conversation, not in my house and not in Los Angeles. This is Dodger country. You understand? I didn't see my father on the news. I didn't read about him in the LA Times. I mean, my father played for St. Louis. So we're absent of that fan base, of that media. The internet has brought him very close to me now. I can just put his name in there and all this stuff comes up. My grandson knows who his great-grandfather is and what he did.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. Man. Go ahead.
I just want to say one other thing about this case that went to the Supreme Court, just to put it in context. Baseball was the only one of the major sports that had this crazy law. The antitrust laws applied to football, it applied to all the other sports, but baseball had an antitrust exception that had been in there since like 19 whatever the hell. So this was the only league that could do this shiggity. So this was really on top of the fact that this was a landmark case that he was going to go against this. It wasn't like, oh, this happens in football, this happens in golf, it didn't happen anywhere else except baseball. And so he was really going up against it because this was like precedence. This is just the way it was.
Right. It's true.
Man,
there were two earlier cases. Two players had challenged the reserve clause and lost. So he was going up against two failures already when he tried. But because he was on a world champion team, and the St. Louis Cardinals in the 60s were like the Lakers of the 80s.
Yeah. The time was right.
I know, Shelly. I know.
Okay.
I'm going to make it clear where I stand right now. I am from Boston.
Okay.
St. Louis Cardinals are the ones that keep my dream away.
Not Boston.
She's still better.
7 games. I personally saw Curt Flood do this to us.
Oh, wow.
I was 11 years old.
Oh,
and
wow.
I swear to God.
Oh, my God.
I tell you, though. Let me tell you. It was a big thing when the Cardinals came to Boston. We were all out there. Black people came down to Fenway Park. I remember standing by the bus put my little autograph thing in there. You know what came out? Bob Gibson. Bob Gibson's autograph came out. I was like, oh my God. And then, of course, he pitched that game and that was the end of it. But all the Boston people that were black, and there were very few black people in Boston that, my uncle loved the Red Sox. That's why I love the Red Sox.
Yeah.
But man, Curt Flood, Bob Gibson. I mean, when y'all came to Boston, it was a whole other story.
I hear most of it from people that watched my father play. Mm-hmm. I lived in Los Angeles, as did my we're from here. We were born in St. Louis, but we moved here when we were all very young.
Okay.
And the only place I saw my dad play was in Dodger Stadium.
Mm-hmm.
So I never learned to like the Dodgers, right?
Right.
I'd only go to the baseball field, to the stadium, when the Cardinals would come to town, right? And my brothers were not Dodger fans, so I didn't learn to. I've never learned.
I like never.
My brother said, "Stop saying that on the record," and I was like, "Oh well."
Oh well.
I called the Dodgers up, and when the Cardinals come to town, I called the alumni and family director. That's the one who handles tickets for the team and the alumni. And I tell him I need my tickets. And he says, but Shelly, that's never been heard of. He said, I'm gonna have to run that up the pole. I said, and I called him by name. You run it as far up the pole as it needs to go. And you tell him that I'm here. I've lived here my entire life, and my franchise is coming here, and I need to get in that stadium. And I
with my St. Louis, my St. Louis jersey on.
I think I don't.
I know you better.
I don't.
You better.
I told him to sit me on the St. Louis side.
There you go. That's what I'm talking about.
My brother told me I was nuts.
No, you're not.
Right. I get what I want.
That's it. That's it.
I love
that.
baseball, ladies. It's probably the only sport that I get excited about. There's something about it. I enter the stadium and I change into a different person.
I love
it's like where I belong. You know what I mean? It's a pulse and an excitement, and it's something that just is in me. It brings back a lot of nostalgia. And I've been to St. Louis quite a few times now. And my dad was inducted into the St. Louis Hall of Fame in 2022.
Right.
And I called the stadium, I called the St. Louis managers or whatever, and told them I was coming. And they set me up. I had a skybox. I had all the food you could eat supplied to my 45 guests. I had a full bar. I had a luxury box.
I
had a luxury box suite.
And a
I told them I was coming, and they did that for me.
I love that.
That's nice.
I love that.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
Then I turned around and went back 2 weeks later.
Yeah.
But it was my birthday 2 weeks later, ladies, and I had never been in St. Louis on my birthday.
Yeah.
It was the day I was born. My mother brought me to California when I was 7 months old.
Oh, wow.
I've been in California ever since.
Okay.
So to return to St. Louis on my 60th birthday and go to the ballpark and just have the time of my life.
I love that.
It was wonderful.
That. Yeah. I think me and Sabrina also, when you said baseball brings up nostalgia, I know because we got our love of baseball from our fathers, and I adore baseball. Like, I love sports, but I adore baseball because it makes me, I don't know, it makes me feel like a little kid again every time I go to the stadium. And I always go with one of my kids or all my kids. It's like a family thing. I'll go to everything else with whoever, but baseball, because I used to do the stats for my father, I was sitting there doing the stats, in the hot ass seats. At Yankee Stadium, the old Yankee Stadium.
What stadium was that?
Yankee Stadium they call us the Con Ed kids. So all the poor kids would go, and they had I guess they were free tickets. Well, we were all out there burning up We had big old hats on, and I'm doing the stats, with my pencil, with no eraser.
Don't mess it up. Don't mess it up, right?
Right.
Yeah, but I learned everything about your father, and I remember hearing about him and his. Baseball was very. It's the first Black history I remember. I think that's what it is. Like my parents were very big on making sure we learned Black history, but the one I always remember is baseball's history, because there's a lot of Black history in baseball.
It is.
Mm-hmm. And that's what I always remember more.
Francis, even I know that.
Even I know that, because when I was a girl, there was a lot of Black players.
This is true.
A lot of Black players, and they seem less now, but there were a lot of Black players. I've never seen a major league game, but we have a minor league team here. And I've been fortunate enough through my job that I was working at the time to get a skybox and the food and all that stuff, because they donated it to the agency and we had a ball. It was just so nice. But my dad really liked baseball. His team was Atlanta. And he would sit there and he would look, and I'm like, Dad, what? It's boring. He told me, no, it's anticipation of what can happen. Right. And then I looked at it differently, because I was a grown woman by then.
Yeah.
I looked at it differently then, and then I got involved with somebody who was a Boston Red Sox fan.
Lord have mercy.
And we were together when they won, because I said they're going to win the series this year, because they hadn't won in 800 years, right? So,
not 800.
Okay, 801. 801. So I told her, I said, they're going to win. They're going to win this year. She said, no. I'm like, yes, they are. And that was the year that they won. She was like, how did you know that? I'm like, I just know it.
That's right. That's right.
So when are you friends? Big Poppy and Ortiz and all those folks.
That's the same person.
Oh, is it? Oh. Well, okay.
Oh, friend.
Well, y'all know I tried.
Friend, Shelly was asking, where are you?
Yeah. Me?
Yes.
I'm in Norfolk, Virginia.
Okay, you're in Norfolk.
Yeah.
And Yvette, you're in New York?
I'm in New York, yeah.
And Miss Tamia?
I'm in DC.
And I'm in Bethesda, Maryland.
And you're in Bethesda. I'm in Los Angeles.
Yes, we know.
I feel like a world traveler.
I know, right?
You ain't claiming no Dodgers.
Cool, you guys. That's incredible. I have been to Turner Field and seen the Braves. Okay. I also say, when people ask me who my team is, I have to say the Cardinals, but the San Francisco Giants are my team of choice. The Cardinals are my legacy team, but I've always thrown the Yankees in there, because the Yankees have been to the World Series more time than any other major league.
That would be 27.
She had to get all up in the mic, right? Like we couldn't hear her ass anyway. That would be 27.
And I just, you ladies are so amazing. I'm so excited to be here with you.
Thank you. We're so happy to have you. And I want to also say that Adele Simmons is the one that sent me the information about you.
Hi, Adele.
She's like, I want you to meet this woman, And when she mentioned your father, I was like, wait, what? Oh, yeah, we definitely want her on the show. I don't know how we're going to do this, what it's going to be like, but we want. And I thought about it. I was like, yeah, that makes sense. Baseball and Star Trek, it goes together.
Niners.
The Niners.
Baseball represented a lot.
Yeah.
Well, our particular favorite captain, the SyFy Sistas, well, collectively, some people have a different favorite captain, but the majority of us have a favorite captain, and he's the Black captain that Avery Brooks played as Benjamin Sisko. And that character was obsessed with baseball.
Mm-hmm.
And he's the one who is responsible for getting together a baseball team on the station.
Right.
And like now a bunch of us, like you see at different Star Trek events, you see people in these jerseys, these baseball jerseys, the Niners baseball jerseys. So the only baseball jersey I really, I mean, I wear a Nationals jersey when I go, you know, like, I mean, I still have, because we finally got baseball back in DC. Like, see, I, you know, growing up here, I didn't grow up as a lifelong baseball fan at all because there was no baseball team.
That's right.
The closest team I had was the Orioles. They were all the way in Baltimore. I wasn't going all the way to Baltimore to see a game.
And we used them as the second Yankee Stadium.
Oh, that's funny. So, like, you know, like I don't have, like, the childhood memories I have around baseball are around the minor league team down in Newport News, like the Peninsula Pilots. And like we would go see those games during the summer sometimes. Yeah. And like, you know, so we would go see those games sometimes down in the summer, but it wasn't like a thing. So I didn't really start caring about baseball very much until the Nats came back to DC, and then we could go to games, and it was so cheap, right? Like it was just such a great way. And and then like in my mother's house, my mother lives in part of town that's really close to the stadium, and I can just walk to the stadium. You know, you walk along the waterfront and you go to the stadium over there. It's gorgeous, right? So that is
it's beautiful.
You know, my favorite. Like now I love going to games. I still have issues watching baseball on TV. Like I'm not doing that. That's just weird to me. I don't get that, but
it's weird.
It is weird to me. Like it's because I love it. Is something about what you said about being out there in the stadium. It's the crowd electricity and the anticipation, and it's not all like, it's not super hype, right? Like you go to some sporting events and it's just so testosterone filled, it's disgusting, you know. And I just like, I can't even be around you right now. You're chill in my face.
Sounds like Boston.
I like New York. I like the Bronx.
That's hilarious.
But baseball is a little bit more chill, you know. And it's like,
it is very chill. It is very chill.
It's a long game, so
it can be.
You gotta pace yourself.
Okay. I root for extra innings. I want to go 13. You know, let's go the long hours.
Free baseball.
Usually, I don't really have a team. If the Cardinals are playing, I'm gonna root for the Cardinals. You know, if the Giants are playing, I'm gonna root. Now, on my birthday, they played each other. The Giants and Cardinals played in St. Louis when I was there. The day of my 60th birthday, when I went to the game, they were playing my team.
Wow.
And
that's crazy.
So I had all my St. Louis gear on, and every time I would see a San Francisco Giant fan, I would go, I see you, Giant fan. I see you. And surprisingly, there were a lot of San Francisco fans in St. Louis. It was deep. I had a great time, though.
Wow.
I did. And I listened to the ball game on the radio.
On the radio.
See,
I can
do. I love that.
I can listen to the
I
ball
like
game.
the announcers.
Yes.
Yes. Very much so. It's all about the announcers.
My great uncle used to listen to the San Francisco Giants, and that's where I learned to listen to the radio to hear the game.
That's so funny because my stepfather, who, when I say my father with baseball, it's him. He was a New York Giants fan.
Okay.
Because he's from, he grew up in that area, but then when they left, he became a Yankees fan. He always like secretly still loved them. I could always tell when they would come on, he would always watch that game. And I would come in the room like, you watching that game? But, that was still his team. And I always felt bad for him that his team left him, because he loved baseball. God, he loved baseball. And it took him a long time to become a Yankee fan. I think he became a Yankee fan when I got older, when I became, when I came, because I don't think he was that deep a Yankee fan until he had someone to kind of share it with, and my brother was not interested. He wanted to play, he played baseball. He didn't want to watch it. And I find that a lot of kids, because my daughter plays basketball and doesn't really want to watch it. That kind of thing. But Yeah, those San Francisco Giants kind of they broke his heart.
I love the Giants.
Because I grew up in the Fenway, there was nothing I could do but.
Right, you live right there, didn't you?
Yeah.
I live right in where I'm from is called the Fenway.
It's
Right.
called
Oh, wow.
If I
Okay.
sat on the stoop, we could sit out on the stoop on a day when they had a day game, and you could tell from the cheer if it was a home run.
Right.
You hear it. You were like, oh, somebody just hit a home run.
Yep.
You didn't have your radio, you have to run upstairs, Uncle Benny, because he got the radio, so
Right, to find out what happened. That's so cool.
yeah, you
Living
could
right
walk
outside the
over.
ballpark.
Yeah, we'd walk over all the time, like I said, and just put a little autograph books in the
Right.
team bus.
Mm.
That whatever team was there, you just put your book in.
Oh
Oh,
wow!
wow.
I remember that. I
Wow!
remember
Who?
that.
I don't even
I
know this
do.
guy.
I remember
Who?
that. You
I don't
remember
know
the
this guy.
autograph books, huh?
Yeah,
I said, you
autograph
remember
books.
that?
That'll take you back, right?
It's funny because I was really young when my dad played. I wasn't but 10 when he left the game.
Oh, okay.
So I didn't get to start going to the game until I was old enough to go.
Right.
So
Right.
about 7, 8 years old, even though he'd been playing since I was born, right? But I didn't start going until I was about 7 or 8. And I remember waiting for the team to come out and the kids having their autograph books. And they didn't leave them on the bus. They just crowded the doors where they would come out of the stadium. It's kind of below at Dodger Stadium, and then it leads to a parking lot. But you can get in there. I don't know if you can do it now, but back then you could get in there. I think that's when I decided I never wanted to be famous because the fans were so aggressive that they stormed the door one time and knocked me down. And my brother ended up having to pick me up and put me on his shoulder because they were autograph seekers. And I made my son, I don't ever want to be famous. That's crazy.
Yeah,
But I do
yeah,
remember
crazy.
autograph books and autograph seeking after the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I saw your dad in his prime, and I'm telling you.
Yeah.
It was oh yeah. I mean, we watched those games, and like I said, it was a World Series, so we didn't usually see the Cardinals, but we knew of Curt Flood because every black person that liked baseball knew
Curt Flood was.
So, so when they, like I said, when they were coming to town, it was a big deal for the black baseball fans. We were all down there, and he was something else, man. What an arm! You had to give it to him, even though they were like killing your team.
Killing your team.
I love it.
Mariano Rivera, I like him too.
Oh boy!
Tanya said this is like the SyFy Sistas Sandlot.
Sandlot. I love it.
That's what's up.
The SyFy Sistas Sandlot. Say that 3 times fast.
I know, right? So I want to ask you about this whole process of trying to get somebody in the Hall of Fame, in the Baseball Hall of Fame. Like, what is the work that you have to try to do? Like, what's the process?
Interestingly enough, it's the Players Association and the writers, sports writers.
Right.
They vote, they nominate the player, and then the player goes to he's put on the ballot and then voted on.
Okay.
Now, where my father is now, it's the Golden Era Committee.
Okay.
Because if you don't get in as a player, you can get in other, segments.
Special categories.
Right, in other categories. This year, he didn't make it again. The Golden Era Committee chose not to nominate him, and their nominees went up a couple weeks ago. And the funny thing about it is, it's not really not funny, but Dave Winfield was just awarded the Curt Flood Award.
He was.
By the Players Association. It's a part of their annual tribute to current and past players. They have different awards that they give. And they honored my father with a Curt Flood Award of Merit for a player that has done amazing things for MLB in the community, for the game, whatever their contribution was. So they've named this award after my dad, and there's been, I think, 4 now that they've done. And Dave Winfield, who's a very good friend of my dad, he said he only met him once. But these people are Hall of Famers, and they're getting awards that my father's name is on, and my dad's not in the Hall of Fame. Now they'll have temporary exhibits in Cooperstown, and within that exhibit, my dad will be on display. But that's only for an allotted amount of time. When that exhibit closes, my father leaves the museum. I want him there
permanently
for good. He deserves his place in baseball history. And if that's the venue that houses the history of baseball, it's incomplete without my father's segment of his contribution and the time that he played.
Absolutely.
I don't want to say what I want to say.
But
at the end of the day,
you say it, Sabrina.
This is some shiggity. That's what this is.
It is.
It's about hurt feelings, and they don't want to. There's still people that was probably still in power now, who refuse to budge, because they want to keep him. They don't want anybody to think that he won because he lost the case.
Everybody's in the chat is going, say it.
Yeah, and I just
However,
yes, go ahead, Fran.
However, they are benefiting for what he did today.
Exactly.
Wholeheartedly.
Everybody.
When I was in St. Louis and I visited the souvenir store, his picture is all over, he's there in his imagery. On their Walk of Fame, his name is in the ground.
This is in St. Louis.
Yes, it is, at Busch Stadium and Ballpark Village. But I cannot go inside the store and buy anything with my father's name on it. There's no merchandising. And I cried right there in the middle of the store. And so the man said, "What's wrong with you?" And I explained to him, and he said, "Well, go over to the authentic store where the Hall of Fame Museum is and see if there's something there." And it wasn't. And the little lady was so nice. She got on the phone and she called upstairs to the man who's over all the retail. And he came downstairs and spoke to me. He said that there were things with Dad's name on it when he was inducted into the St. Louis Hall of Fame, the Cardinals Hall of Fame, but it was limited edition. And when it was all Hall of Fame related. And when it was gone, it was gone.
Oh, man.
I didn't know that. You see, I would have kept my jersey.
I
didn't know I would never be able to get an authentic with my father's name on it. And I gave it away. But that's fine. It'll come again.
Wow. So, what types of efforts, is it, I wonder if it's kind of like,
it's not our effort. We can't, there's really nothing that we can do. And I know.
Yeah. Are there lobbying efforts? Like when people are going up for an Oscar and something
you can't ask them people to give you an Academy Award. You can't. I can't ask them to put my father in the Hall of Fame. They know. We've had congressmen ask. We've had writers ask or say. We've had players say it's time. They know it's time. Just like Sister Yvette said.
It's time.
Yeah, exactly. And anytime they write about him, people will say it's way overdue. They did when he was going into the St. Louis Cardinal Hall of Fame, Cooperstown Hall of Fame, Major League Baseball's museum, they did a tribute to my father outside on the lawn. They had a big jumbotron and they showed footage. They had speakers. For my dad. It's a tribute to my dad.
Outside,
not inside.
Not in the hall of.
No, I'm just gonna keep this up.
Not in the museum.
No, and that was in 2015 when he went into the St. Louis Cardinals Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
And I didn't make it. They didn't invite me. They didn't invite us. I try not to get upset about it, and I leave it where it is, because there's no sense in having energy misplaced,
right?
Especially negative energy.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but I know what's going on, and I'm at peace with in God's time. It's going to happen in this lifetime or in my grandson's lifetime, or in my nephew's who just came into the world. He's a year old and he carries our name. Yeah. So at the end of the day, it's going to happen, because we're going to continue to talk about it. And as people come to know who he was and what he did, I think the pressure will increase and he'll eventually be acknowledged.
Yeah.
You know?
So we have any documentary deals coming up in the works?
I'll tell you this. HBO did a documentary in 2011 called The Curious Case of Curt Flood. Yeah. Okay, it's about 90 minutes. The History Channel produced After Jackie. If you haven't seen After Jackie, you have to see it.
Okay.
Because it gave me so much information about the St. Louis Cardinals and their impact on integration. Who knew?
Wow.
Big time. Big time.
I mean, I watched it again because I needed to really hear it and internalize how much my father did for the game of baseball. And then eventually they're going to have to let go. And if they don't, we'll just keep telling everybody.
That's the whole reason you're here.
Right.
Is so that more people can know.
Right? Absolutely.
It's like they're saying, how dare you? How dare he?
How dare he?
That's how dare he, Yeah.
Maybe.
The really weird thing is when the case was decided back then, all the sports writers were sure that your father was going to win the case. They were absolutely blindsided because everyone was like, well, this is the time. Like you said, there had been 2 other attempts to get this, as I said, standalone only place you could ever find some stupid shiggity like this was in baseball. Yeah. They thought this was the time. If it was anybody that was going to get this done, it was going to be Curt Flood.
Curt Flood. Yep.
And when that case came down, 5-3, and Thurgood Marshall wasn't a center, let me tell you, he was like not about it. Yeah. People were really shocked. And the person that the baseball commissioner even said, even though Curt Flood had lost that case, they said that the public had turned against the baseball league. And it was a whole new feeling in the country that, Curt Flood should have won that. And they knew it was just a matter of time. They were not going to be able to keep that reserve clause going any longer because they just saw the whole thing. Everybody just went, oh, what?
So, now, let me ask you this. The first 2 cases that were brought up, arguing against the reserve clause,
right?
Were those 2 cases, do you know if they were brought by white players or black players? They were brought by black players.
They were 2 white players, but they didn't have any fame. They weren't World Series winning athletes. Yeah. They were just people that felt they were being taken advantage of. But Dad had a fan base.
Yeah.
Yes, St. Louis Cardinals had a fan base. And MLB was huge. They had grown into our national sport. So when this human said they're using us like slaves, they're just selling us and trading us, and we're not making any of the money, and the owners were getting it all. And it was time to change that labor dynamic. It took 2 years. 1972, I believe, or 1976, Andy Messersmith and Dave McNally of the Dodgers, they played a whole year without contracts, deeming them free agents. When they went into negotiations, they didn't have contracts, but they were players. So in order to keep them on the team, they had to negotiate a contract.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, if you want, like I said before, there's a lot of Black history in, American history is baseball. I mean, you can find it rolls with what we're doing in our country. If you follow baseball, you'll see what's going on in the country about what's going on in baseball. So I love the game. I just love it. Me and Sabrina we'll say baseball, or we'll watch a baseball, DS9. We'll both be like, because it just brings us so much joy.
My complete uniform.
She sure does.
We have to have game. We'll have to see a game together.
Yeah,
it's my bucket list to go to every baseball field in the country,
and
one out of the country. I want to do that. I think that would be so cool.
Yeah, I want to go to everyone except for Boston.
Okay.
She's a Yankee fan. Okay. I do
know. No self-respecting Yankee fan will go and sit as a spectator.
No. I think you can go there, but I mean, it's not even that. It's a bad stadium. It's horrible.
That's some deep shade.
There's like big poles in the way.
Oh, you haven't lived till you've had a ticket in an obstructed vision seats. Yeah, obstructed view seats. They sell them, and I bought one. And I'm not lying. You can't.
I don't even know what to say about that.
Right?
It says right on the obstructed view, But let me tell you, it was a rite of passage to hook school and go to opening day.
Yeah.
That was back when your allowance could actually pay for a ticket.
Yeah.
In
the bleachers, right? Yeah.
That's why I make a phone call.
We all got caught because everybody that went got sunburned, and we came back to school. Everybody got sunburned.
Y'all peeling, right?
All these white kids, they pulled off their clothes. They all got sunburned. Everybody was like, "What happened? Where were you? Weren't in school. You weren't in school." I wasn't with these people. I don't know who they are. I wasn't with them.
I did know that the Yankees and the Red Sox were mortal enemies, and I noticed in the what's that movie that Tom Cruise made over again? One of my favorite movies that he mucked up. That his son had on. He had on a Yankees hat, and his son had on a
Red Sox.
Yeah, Red Sox hat, and they were throwing balls. He said, so Tom Cruise was like, oh, it's like that, huh? He said, no, I'm just a Yankee fan. I mean, I'm just a Boston fan. He said, yeah, okay. I'm like, come on, y'all, come on.
I went to the Dodger Stadium with one of my very good friends. He took me to the game, and I just so happened to have an LA cap, right? And so I threw the cap on backwards. And we went up into the stadium and sat down, and he looked at me and he said, no self-respecting San Francisco Giant fan would have that cap on. And I was just like, ooh, but he meant that. He was like, what are you doing? We went to the game, but we didn't go to the game to root for the Dodgers. We went to the game to see the sport. Right?
Okay, yeah. I get that.
We're spectators. We're not fans. It's different.
Big time.
Off, and I got rid of it. I'm just like, okay.
You got rid of your Dodger hat?
Yeah, because I'm not a Dodger fan.
Well, that would be like me wearing a Dallas jersey. Like that's never gonna happen.
Everybody's I wouldn't wear that jersey either.
I never thought there'd be a day where that would come out of somebody's mouth on a SyFy Sistas.
I will burn that.
Yeah, but
jersey.
we don't have to mention their names or nothing. I mean, wow.
Okay.
Gosh.
Yeah, we name these sponsors.
They get some holy water now.
I mention it every year when they come to DC, and the only thing they got to do, every person that comes to DC, new coach that comes to DC, they only have one goal.
One job.
We don't care about anything else except for you must beat Dallas. And if you cannot beat Dallas, we ain't got nothing. You can win every other game.
I'm not mad at that.
And if you don't beat Dallas, we don't love you.
Yeah, you got to go.
I'm not mad at that. I don't think I've ever been a Dallas fan. And, not big on football, but Dallas ain't never been it for me.
Dallas, let me tell you, I've grown up in the 70s. when all they flash on television, they came up with this shiggity calling it America's Team, first of all.
No.
You know, yes, they did. They called it America's Team.
Well, yeah,
and
I
then
know they
had,
did because I was looking at baseball,
right,
football.
right. That's what I'm
Okay.
talking about. The football, right? And
Yeah.
then they had these white girls with blonde hair up there shaking their booties and as their cheerleaders. And I was like, nothing about this is for me. And I'm Indian. I don't like no cowboys.
Emmett was my guy, though. Come on now.
Emmett Smith. Emmett Smith.
Nothing for me.
Wow,
Pittsburgh,
you guys are amazing.
Yeah. Shelly,
Absolutely.
so is there something that you and your siblings are doing now? I know you when we emailed each other, you were talking about that. Can you tell us a little about that?
Yes, please.
We have a few different things going on. Curt Jr. has been working with anybody that is, credible to get Dad's story to film. They've even pitched podcasts that we could talk about Dad's career, his legacy. He has spearheaded that for a while. The Curt Flood Foundation is wanting to support women's sports. Curt Jr. is really into seeing fair pay, fair athletic equipment, whatever it is that women are not getting equal to their male counterparts. My brother is advocating, lobbying, and discussing it with the people that are listening, whoever that is.
I love that.
Flood Media is something that we've been kind of nurturing, but it's on the back burner to have the story told from our point of view. Not so much documentary or what Dad went through, but what happened to his children. We lived in Windsor Hillsview Park, where we were raised amongst all of our Black excellence. And when nobody knew my father was that person. You know what I mean? When HBO did that, everybody's like, oh my God, I didn't know your dad had gone through all that. No one knew what we were going through as a family.
Right.
They just knew we lived in that big house on the corner across from Ike and Tina and blah, blah, blah. And as long as the things that they said about us were good, we never corrected them.
Right.
Our family's under siege.
Right.
We don't know where our dad is. When he left the country, we had no idea where he was, and we hadn't spoken to him.
Wow.
We have two foundations, the Curt Flood Foundation and Centerfield for Youth. And they are our babies. We haven't really pushed them to be all they can be in philanthropy. That time will come as well. I'd like to see the Centerfield for Youth target homelessness. My dad was about giving back, fighting the plights that be. His plight was in his sport. Well, my plight is in the social dynamic of fair housing, and mental health and substance abuse. These things that are epidemic in our communities right now. I have written a program called The Locker Room. Everybody should have basic needs. We get food stamps, we get a little piece of change, but we don't have nowhere to sleep. What sense does that make? Right? A place to sleep is a part of basic needs. And it shouldn't be a shelter bed.
Right.
It ought to be a space that delivers supportive services daily. I'm safe, I'm clean, and my belongings are stored that I can always come to this place and have that exchange. There's nothing like that. Yeah. And it's not hard, ladies, to resolve homelessness. It is a huge factor of money and grants and funding and points on a spreadsheet. They take out the humanity in this plight. And the reason I can speak to it is not because I am a case manager it's because I was homeless.
Mm-hmm.
And when I went homeless, I had already been a case manager and a school teacher and a service provider. So when I went into that lane, I knew exactly how to navigate.
Yeah.
I knew exactly how to speak to these people. I knew how to step back and demand that you do your job.
Yes.
Without speaking to me with judgment.
Right.
How dare you talk down to me?
Mm.
And these things were happening to me. So I knew if it was happening to me, it was happening to the masses.
Yeah.
We've got people that don't know how to advocate for themselves. They don't know what's out there, what they have a right to, or what services can be provided. They, you know, it just, and then they're taking people from the homeless status and putting them into houses. But they've been on the street for 5 years.
Right. So how are they supposed to?
And you expect them to just.
Exactly. So there we come back to the locker room. It's a transitional process. It realigns you with normalcy, bathing every day, 8 hours sleep, having your clothes washed, having a place. So you can't come into the bed area without telling the reception where you're going tomorrow.
Okay.
So everybody that comes to shower and sleep will let us know where they're going in the morning. I don't care if you're going to Persian Square to feed the birds. Have a plan. Do you understand? Have a plan.
Right. Have a plan.
You may not have anything to do tomorrow, but you can't sit out in front of my business.
I'm sorry to cut you off, but I did want to, Linda, one of our supporters, she wanted you to know, hey, all, joining late, but my husband says Curt Flood is a god. He changed everything in baseball.
Thank you, Linda. And thank your husband.
Right. Don't ever doubt it, Shelly. Don't ever doubt it.
I don't. And, you know, I never really shared that proposed publicly. I've written it. I've chat GP'd it, you know, put it all together. Funding is always an issue. You know, you need money to do anything. And they're giving a lot of the federal funding to antiquated facilities. They're, you know, these missions downtown Los Angeles, Skid Row, they have people laying on the street in front of their buildings.
Right.
And the service provider is right here. Why are these people in front of your door? Because the people that are in there disrespected them.
Yeah.
They went up in there and something happened to them, traumatizing them. The stories they've heard about what goes on in there keeps them out here. And then the icing on that 3-layer cake is the people that come up out of there are walking down the street talking shit, excuse my language, about the street.
Right.
What are these people doing out here? Oh, they need to move. You know, like, wow. I went to work down there. After I got my fair housing, I didn't stop. I renewed my resume and I started looking for a job back in case management, service providing, drug and alcohol counseling, wherever I could find my niche. They wouldn't hire me. They wouldn't hire me. I did a Homeland Security application for case management and the lady was in San Francisco. All she knew is my resume and my voice, and I got hired. And when I walked up in there with that lady, she looked at me and her mouth dropped because she didn't know I was white. See, my name is Shelly Flood, and that doesn't sound black.
Right.
It doesn't.
Right.
And I don't sound black. If there's such a thing. Okay.
Right. There's people say, yeah, exactly.
You know, I put together sentences correctly, and I don't.
That's it.
That's a big deal in this world.
Well, let me just tell you, more of us know more proper English than a lot of other people in this country. Like
I know that.
We have to know both. We have to know both the vernacular and the proper.
That's
we have
very
to know both in order to.
And we do
in this society.
And we do. That's the thing.
And we do. We're less. I don't know. She gave me 13 days of hell. And then she fired me with a very bad critique of my 13 days there. I was mortified because I wanted to be down there. I wanted to be a part of the solution. I wanted to have my experience be a part of doing something else, right? But she knew that little, I went and told on her, stop playing. I went right to the commissioner's office, to all those people, and got on their mic and let those people have it. And he said, "Oh, we're so sorry that happened to you, Miss Flood." I said, "Don't be sorry for me. My father's famous. I'm gonna have a job." You understand? And it was a little pretentious, but that's what came out.
But it's also true.
You don't have to worry about me. I have a network that's vast, and I use it. I'm a Nepo baby. I can say that. My mother has always advocated for a job for me. Stop playing. Go see that lady. That's my friend. She's going to give you a job.
Right.
And it's worked that way. But everybody can't maneuver like that. And how dare you have that lady down there and you've given all that money to that organization called Shelter Plus Care. Where's the care? Where is the care? Y'all giving her shelter, but you're not caring about her. You know, it was awful. So I came up with a solution. A wheel is a wheel, but you can turn a wheel into a Pirelli.
You sure can.
You can make it better. And that's what I did. And everything that was missing in my experience, I made sure that I put that in my descriptives and in my services. So we'll see what happens, ladies.
Well, make sure you let us know.
I will.
Make sure you let us know, because we're gonna do some stuff. I got some. I'm gonna talk to you offline. I got something.
I know, right? I know where your brain is going, because my brain is going to the same place.
I got something. We're gonna talk
it's
about
so
it.
Beautiful.
You know,
we're not gonna stop talking about Mr. Flood, because he was a god. I mean, if you love baseball, you know about Curt Flood, and that's all to it. And I especially as a Black person.
I remember that name, and I don't even know baseball.
Right.
I remember
exactly. Like when we said, and she said, "He's Curt Flood's daughter," and I said, "Why do I know that now? I know his name."
Yeah.
And I'm not a baseball person, because he was that influential that the people in my life have been saying his name.
Right. That's what we said. Curt Flood's daughter.
Oh, you guys are so sweet.
Oh my goodness!
The only one, you know, there were 5 of us.
I know.
Now, but I have siblings.
5. Yep. I know now there was 5.
Yeah, there are 4 of us living. My sister Debbie, Curt Jr., and my brothers Scott, Debbie, Shelly, Chris, and Scott. Yeah, there are 4 of us here.
Okay.
Right.
She had to make sure.
Me.
Yeah, don't be leaving nobody out now.
Right. We're all here in Los Angeles. Debbie is looking to move. I think she's trying to move to San Antonio. Okay. She always threatening to leave though.
There's always one.
Well, you know, now Shelly, you got 4 SyFy sisters on your side.
Okay.
And you know, and we'll be doing everything we can to help y'all. And you know,
in our little way. In our little way. Yep. Yeah. Don't, and when
when they said I was
come back.
When Adele said it was the SyFy sisters, I had to think about, so am I sci-fi? And then I started thinking about it, and I am a SyFy sister. I do like sci-fi. I don't know that I am as engaged with Star Trek as you ladies, but my daughter is. She absolutely loves Star Trek. And,
love it.
And talks about it. And Adele is one of my most favorite people on earth.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Yeah. And she knows that. She said, "Shelly, you're gonna be great. Don't worry about it." You know. And he said, "Adele, you just love me. That's why." I'm so grateful.
As you notice, it all came with the baseball thing. It all came back to Star Trek.
Always comes back to Star Trek.
Always comes back to Star Trek.
I did buy. Can I leave for just a second? Hold on.
Okay. You guys, we're gonna get show and tell, y'all.
We get show and tell.
I'm excited now.
Yeah, right.
Show and tell is always exciting. You never know what's gonna come up.
Here she come.
Okay.
What she got?
This is my Jordy.
I love it.
Yeah. He's one of my most expensive. He was hard to find. My daughter wanted me to buy them. She saw them online.
Yes.
And, I went after
That's a good one. Yeah, that's a good one.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they have that one anymore.
And he is rare. That one is rare.
That one's very rare. Yep. I love it. It's so rare. I don't have it.
I collect them.
I don't have it either.
I do. I collect them, and my daughter said I needed this one, so
Yeah. Very
well, your
cool.
daughter
Very
sounds
cool.
I'll
brilliant.
tell her. I'll tell her. Yes, my Funko.
Yes.
I see you in the comments. Together. That's right.
Love a Funko.
I'm going to be a SyFy fan now. I'm going to tune in more often. I love it.
Definitely. Yeah, check us.
Look at Deep Space Nine. You'll like it.
I will indeed.
Yep.
Tell your daughter that we said to check out some Deep Space Nine with her.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. Let her check us out. We do a lot of top 10s and interviews with people she probably knows. So be nice. Yeah. Perfect.
There's
a
lot of content here for her.
Yeah,
for sure.
Definitely.
And I just want to say, like, you're amazing.
I really appreciate the conversation.
Yes, it's been so good. Am I freezing up, y'all?
No.
Okay, all right. Because my computer did some funky. Yep.
I saw it too.
Yeah. No, Shelly, you are amazing, and we are so grateful for your time, and thank you so much for coming on and educating us about your dad and about what you guys are working on now. It's all wonderful. I think that personally, I think that any Black person who is thriving and succeeding in this world right now is science fiction. We are embodying science fiction because we are our ancestors' wildest dreams, right? We are beyond their wildest dreams. And you guys look like you're carrying on a beautiful legacy. So thank you so much.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much for the conversation and the outlet to talk about my father. It means a lot to me.
Oh, yeah.
And I am most grateful. Thank you.
All right, Sabrina, Yvette, you got any last fangirling you need to get out before we?
I just wanted to thank you for letting us go down memory lane. That was, one of the most fun, World Series time ever. I mean, it was just a thing, it was so much. It was such athleticism and goodwill, and it was not a rivalry because it was a new pairing. We never played the
World Series.
It was. Everybody was watching it. Everybody was rooting for the poor little Red Sox. Everybody was so amazed by the, overly dominant Cardinals.
Yeah, they were dominant for years.
It was just so much fun to talk about it with you. It's just, you don't know. I'm just really thrilled.
Be sure to watch After Jackie.
Yeah.
Yes.
You have to watch that.
Yeah. I'm gonna put a link to it because I think it's on YouTube. I think I saw it on YouTube somewhere. I'll put a link up.
Okay. I caught it on the History Channel, but they may have it streaming on YouTube.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to watch that now.
The true Star Trek heart.
Also, David, I'm so glad you could make it with us tonight. I haven't seen you in a while, so just shout out real quick.
Before we go, can I do some housekeeping?
Oh, please do.
Yeah, so tomorrow, Sin Goes Sci-Fi at 9:30. We're doing, Sabrina?
Blade Runner with David Livingston.
Yes.
Someone that Adele Simmons also set us up with.
Yes, exactly.
Vice versa. Exactly. There was another Adele Simmons connection there.
Another one. That's it. Also, just remember, next Tuesday is our last live show for the season. Season 4 is coming to an end. I want to say I'm not happy, but I am so happy. We need a break. We've had a really big season. We've brought on 3 new podcasts. It's been great. Thank you everybody who's been watching. The people who come into the chat, it's been great. We've been having a great time. So I just want to let you know next Tuesday we're going to have all the hosts for the last show. We're going to tell you what's coming up for next season. Also, we're going to have Bill and Dan from Trek Geeks because they have a big announcement. We're going to be
Papas.
Right. We're going to be doing a big thing with them. So just tune in next week. But tomorrow, tune in for Simpson Goes Sci-Fi doing the original Blade Runner.
Yeah, the original one.
Right. The one with Sean Young and Harrison Ford. Because
Ooh.
I don't even know what the other ones are.
Blade Runner.
Yeah, I know what the other ones are.
Yeah, Blade Runner.
Time to get ready for it. Final cut.
No, you were thinking about Blade, not Blade Runner.
I was.
Oh my goodness.
Wesley Snipes. That's what I was thinking.
Look, if anybody watches,
we should go to California on our hiatus. Sounds like a plan to me.
All right now.
Yes.
Sounds like a plan to me.
Yes, absolutely.
People will visit.
That's right.
Absolutely.
All right.
All right, guys. Well,
oh my God, I love that movie.
Bruce,
Okay, I'm
Bruce
late.
wants to know which cut,
movie.
Sabrina. Are you doing the original cut, not the director's cut or anything, right?
Am I doing any?
For Blade Runner, are you just doing the original release or not the
I'm
the
doing
director's cut
the
release?
original final cut. Okay, there's like 8 different versions of
that's
Blade Runner. It's the final cut version that David and I had emailed each other like, which one are you watching? So that will be the one. Final cut, Bruce.
Final cut. So, okay, Bruce, you and I can watch it tomorrow.
It's only one Blade.
Brainfall.
Okay. Thanks,
sure.
everybody. We love you. Thanks for coming and joining us tonight, everybody. Thank you, Shelly. And we're out of here. Peace, love, and hair grease.